Have you wondered what trips you can actually take when you accumulate points and miles? I have been there too. Well, I've been looking at the 2024 US News & World Report top summer vacation spots, and today I'm going to take you on a journey with me as we look at a few places that we can do on points and miles for less than 100,000 points. So be sure to stay to the end because we're going to be hopping around from places close to home to around the world. So the first place we're going to start with is number 18 on the list in the top location in the United States, San Diego. So when we look at airfare on this, there's a few options that we have, especially for what we would consider short haul. And when I'm saying short haul, let's go with one range of up to 650 miles and then another from 651 miles to about 1,100 miles. So for airfare, why don't we start with Avianca? I mentioned them one time before in a previous video. Very versatile mile system, and for the United States, they consider it one whole region. So you could fly United in economy for 7,500 points one way, and in some cases for some shorter flights, it might fall down to even 6,500. Another great part of Avianca is the fact that 3 different credit card issuers use them as transfer partners: American Express, Capital One, as well as Citi. I am definitely a person that believes in diversification of your miles and points so that you can give yourself as many opportunities as possible. And with those 3, you can be able to pull your numbers together for whatever you essentially need. Another excellent option is flying on American Airlines, but we would actually use British Airways Avios to fly American Airlines. With British Airways, we're going to only have to spend 7,500 Avios for up to 650 miles, and then from 651 to 1,150, we're only going to spend 9,000 British Avios points. And just like we saw with Avianca, we've got a lot of different options. We've got 4 of them. American Express, Bilt, Chase, and Capital One all end up having transfer partners with British Airways. So for all the trips that we're going to look at today, they're all based on August the 19th through the 23rd, 5 days, 4 nights this summer. And the numbers I'm going to provide are what I'm seeing as of today. So as you can see, just from these options of Avianca and British Airways, we're going to be able to keep our airfare cost in points easily under 40,000 points. And so then, now we have to find lodging. And when it comes to points and miles and lodging, I am very partial to Hyatt. And the main reason I'm partial to Hyatt is because it's not dynamic pricing, meaning that there is a set number of points for regular, off-peak, and peak points that we can rely on versus the roller coaster that a lot of different other hotel chains end up causing us. So what I'm going to look at is a hotel that I have mentioned one time before, and that is the Manchester Grand Hyatt of San Diego, downtown, right on the waterfront. That hotel is only going to cost us 12,000 points per night for a total of 48,000 points. And so we have made our trip to San Diego 5 days, 4 nights for less than 100,000 points. And the beauty of this is that we are basically can pull points from a lot of different places. Even for Hyatt now, it's not just Chase. We can now use Bilt as a potential transfer partner to pool our points together. Okay, so we've done number 18 here in the United States of San Diego. Let's move up the ladder to number 8 and let's head to Europe, Paris, France. So how about we're going to actually fly on Air France. And so as an example, let's say that I'm going to fly out of Atlanta, Georgia and fly to Paris, France. I could fly round trip on economy for as little as 40,000 points and $204.70 in taxes. And even if you wanted to move up a little bit to premium economy, that could be had for only 70,000 points round trip. And the taxes would be $401.20. So that is an amazing redemption that we're able to do for a round trip flight to Europe. And as far as Air France KLM Flying Blue program, we have multiple options again. We've got American Express, Bilt, Capital One, and Chase. So we're able to accomplish that airfare for only 40,000 or 70,000 points. But how much are we actually saving as opposed to the actual cash price of that airline? Well, round trip economy would cost you $2,749. And for premium economy, $5,774. So as you can see, we have an excellent redemption we were able to do with just so little points. Now when it comes to lodging, I'm looking at Hyatt again, and we've got 4 different hotels we could look at. 2 are in Category 1, which would just be basic lodging. 1 is Category 4, which is kind of the midpoint. And then there's even a Category 8 if we really want to take our trip to the next level, depending upon what we can accomplish with our points. So the 2 Category 1 hotels that we have are the Hyatt Place and the Hyatt House at the Charles de Gaulle Airport. And for that Category 1 hotel, we're only looking at 6,500 points a night for a total of 26,000 points to be able to stay there. And as far as our Category 4 hotel, we're looking at the Hyatt Regency Paris Atoll. At only 18,000 points a night, we're looking at a 72,000 points to be able to stay at that Category 4 hotel. And last, but certainly not least, is the Park Hyatt Vendôme in Paris, a Category 8 hotel. Now that hotel is 45,000 points a night for a total of 180,000 points. So we have all of these options for lodging at Paris through Hyatt. So how much dollars are we talking about for these points? Well, for those 72,000 points at the Hyatt Regency, the rate would normally be $1,024 for the stay there at $256 a night. And when it comes to the Park Hyatt, 45,000 points a night is a $1,576 a night room. Those 4 nights at the Park Hyatt would normally cost you just under $6,400. So let's say that we put the economy round trip together with the Hyatt Regency as a Category 4. I have to admit, we did just go over a little bit of that 100,000 points. We're actually at 112,000 points. But what are we going to get for that 112,000 points as far as how much cash that we're actually saving? That trip with the airfare and for the hotel would be roughly about $3,800, and we've done it all on points outside of taxes. So while we may be spending 100,000 or 112,000 points, that's so few when you look at what you could do when you're looking at credit card intro bonuses. Let's just say, for instance, you were getting a Sapphire Preferred card from Chase, which might be about 60,000 points. And then let's say you went to Citi to look at a mid-tier card like the Citi Premier. Both $95 for an annual fee, but both will bring in about 60,000 points, if not more, as far as the intro bonuses. And with just those 2 cards as a normal way of you moving through your path of credit cards, you now have 120,000 points plus what you earned to get there, which literally paid for your trip. So I hope just with our trips to San Diego and to Paris, you've seen the power of what you can do with points and miles. And if you're finding any value in this video, please like and subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything, but it truly means the world to me, and I thank you in advance. So on this next trip, we're going to actually indulge ourselves even more than Paris. And we're going to need to do a couple of things. One, we're going to need a few more points to do this, but we can still get there. And we're going to need a little extra time because, as I said, we're going to be hopping around the world on this video. So our next stop is number 5, Bali in Indonesia. So on this trip, we're going to be looking at starting on Monday, August the 19th, but we're going to end up not coming back till the 26th. Now the flight to Bali is going to be a long flight. And if you're coming from the United States, like where I'm at, then you're going to have to add on a couple of days based upon this trip of changing time zones and actually date lines. At least from North America, the trip to Bali is probably the longest or almost the longest trip that most airlines do. We're going to be in the air for about 23 hours. And I don't know about you, but if I'm going to be in the air for 23 hours, economy's not going to work this time. So now we need to look at international business flights so that we can truly give ourselves a chance to relax on this long of a flight. Now, as far as airfare, we've got a few options that can work for us on points and miles. So the first airline we're going to look at is Cathay Pacific, which is the flag carrier for Hong Kong. And so on this flight for Cathay Pacific, we can fly out of LAX in Los Angeles, fly to Hong Kong. We actually can spend some time there if we want to, and then head to Bali. So as we know in points and miles, we are gonna get outsized value for the points we earn versus what others pay in cash. That trip on Cathay Pacific round trip in business would cost us over $15,000. We're not gonna pay that. What we're gonna do is we're gonna look at American Airlines, which both of them, American Airlines and Cathay Pacific, are both members of One World as far as an alliance. And so you can use points through them. What we are looking at is American Airlines to fly Cathay Pacific would basically be 70,000 points each way for a total of 140,000 points. Now we would have to add in about $170 worth of taxes each way, but you can see based on those numbers of what crazy value we're going to be able to get from that. So I can definitely understand where American Airline points may be hard for some of us to get. So we need some other options. And I actually have a couple more for you. How about we fly Singapore Airlines, one of the finest airlines in the world, and we fly that plane from LAX, Los Angeles, and instead of going by Hong Kong, we're actually going by Singapore this time on our way to Bali. Now, it is going to cost us a few more points. We're probably going to be about 170,000 points that we need, but we're going to fly business class on one of the best airlines in the world. And more importantly, we have a lot of different options to be able to pool our points together to make this happen. So we have more options with Singapore. We have American Express, Chase, Capital One, and Citi. And so by having so many different transfer partners, we're going to have a lot of options to be able to pull points from different areas to be able to make this happen. So these 170,000 points is going to be able to take care of our round trip business flight, which normally will be priced out anywhere from $9,000 to $10,000 round trip. So you're seeing how much we are really getting great value out of the points we earn to take this truly aspirational trip. And so let me go and give us one last option, because we all need options. How about we're going to take either Turkish Airlines or EVA Airlines. So EVA Air, which you may not have heard of, and I've only learned about it only recently. EVA Air stands for Evergreen Airways, and it is based out of Taipei, Taiwan. EVA Air is the perfect example of where just because you haven't heard of them doesn't mean that they're not great. Condé Nast in 2023 ranked EVA Air as the number 8 airline in the world. So we can take EVA Air, once again out of Los Angeles, and this time we're going to fly through Taipei, Taiwan to get to Bali. And we're going to be able to use 136,000 ANA miles. So you probably have heard of ANA, which is another one of the top airlines in the world, and that is All Nippon Airways, and they're based out of Tokyo, Japan. But we're going to be able to use those points to be able to fly EVA Air. And another option we could use on ANA is to fly out of New York City, go through Istanbul, flying Turkish Airlines in business class on our way to Bali. Same situation, only 136,000 miles round trip. The taxes are a little higher at about 400, but still an amazing value that we're able to get for our points. And so what's the normal cost of flying EVA Air round trip? Nearly $8,000, and we're able to do that for 136,000 points and a few dollars for taxes. And so how about that Turkish Airlines flight that we're doing at only 136,000 points? That flight is nearly $7,500 round trip. So in the case of ANA, there is only one transfer partner, which is American Express, but we've looked at a lot of different options we have. We've looked at American Airline points, we've looked at Singapore Airline points, and we've looked at ANA. And I know that one of those can work out for almost all of us. So when it comes to our lodging options, you're probably thinking I'm going to mention Hyatt because I am partial to them. I love those fixed rates that we all are going to be able to know. But when we move into Indonesia, there are other options. And I'm going to pick a different option. I'm going to look at the IHG program. And when you think of IHG, if you haven't paid attention to it, they do include Holiday Inn, but they also include the Intercontinental, which is their upper end hotels. Very nice. And we're going to look at the Intercontinental Bali. Now that hotel is beachfront right on Jimbaran Bay, and there is going to be excellent value to use IHG points for this lodging. Now we could stay at the Intercontinental Bali for 39,000 points a night. Now keep in mind that Hyatt points are valued higher than IHG points Intercontinental. So those same 39,000 points are not in comparison to what we spent for Hyatt points. But 39,000 points is a very good price for IHG points. So you're probably looking at 39,000 points times 4 nights, totals 156,000 points. Not so fast though. Now, what I'm looking at when I look at Bali is being able to use the IHG Premier credit card, whether it's for personal or it's for business. So when it comes to paying for lodging with points, it is considered okay, and I definitely do it all the time, to transfer Chase or Bilt points to Hyatt because it has such a high valuation. But you wouldn't want to do that with IHG, Hilton, and probably not even Marriott unless you're just topping off points. It's not the best use of flexible points. So in this case, what we're going to do is I would end up using my IHG Premier credit card. They have a personal version and a business version. Right now, they have a intro bonus of 165,000 points on the personal, which is a little bit higher than normal, but they would normally be over 100,000 points anyway. And with that credit card alone, we're going to either get all the way there with the points we need or be very, very close with the additional spend that we're going to need to do. So with the Premier card, we're almost, if not getting all the way there with the intro bonus points to fund this trip. There's another feature of it that really unlocks a great secret for us. And that is that we get to platinum status with that credit card, which then allows us to be able to use 4th night free. So we originally said 4 nights at 39,000 points would put us at 156,000 points. But not with that card. We're now only going to be paying for 3 nights instead of 4 nights because the 4th night was free, and now we've brought that down to only 117,000 points. So for those 117,000 points, we're going to be able to stay at the Intercontinental Bali. And what would that price be? So for that 117,000 points, we're going to be able to stay 4 nights at the Intercontinental Bali. That would normally cost us nearly $1,300. So these are just 3 examples of the best summer locations from around the world that you can do with points and miles. We've looked at a lot of different options in airfare and lodging to be able to fit what your personal goals and desires are. And that's the beauty of points and miles, is that you can make your points and miles journey fit your own personal situation and your own personal goals. And if you want to know more about being successful with points and miles, click on this video. It will help you immensely.